Hello and welcome to another episode of the Game Dev Local podcast. I am Stuart Deville, CEO of Game Dev Local. You might have seen my face on here before. And today we have a special guest. We have our new director, Monty.
Hi, absolute pleasure.
I hope you're having a good morning. Not too stressful.
It's not too bad, to be honest with you. It's a case of trying to fight off whatever's going round right now and
Mm,
doing its rounds on the illness. I think it's a super bug. It's the Gamescom super bug, isn't it? It sticks around for a month or so afterwards.
yeah. It tends to happen to me after I go to an event, which is topical because we'll be talking about that. So obviously very excited to have Monty join the team. Um, if you've been following GDL for any length of time, you know that we previously had Imogen and Tom. They have now stepped down, and Monty has stepped into their shoes. And yeah, we're excited to get to work together. I mean, we're also doing multiple things together because that's how we met. But we'll talk about that a little bit further in. Um, Monty, do you want to give us a little bit about you and a little bit about your journey into games and all that kind of jazz?
100%, Stu. God, where do I start? I guess I've been a nerd since I was a kid. Always been playing video games. I remember the LAN parties for Battle for Middle Earth 2 back in the day. My friend's house, and his dad had this whole setup in the back garden. I now know he was trying to get away from his wife in hindsight, but he had this whole setup in the back garden. We used to drink our J2Os and play LAN parties. And then ever since then, I've absolutely loved gaming. My personal professional journey into it was streaming. Back in 2020, I obviously graduated into a pandemic. It wasn't exactly
Mm,
the best the best time to graduate with a
yep.
music and events degree, to say the least. But I ended up pressing stream on Twitch at some point during the first start of COVID, and the rest is history. Apparently, I was reasonably okay at Warzone, reasonably okay enough to play against some pretty big teams, and it was great fun. And then from there, I ended up going to PR marketing. We onboarded lots of different game studios as clients, and yeah, the rest is history. Obviously, that led me to start to the moon, and obviously led me to meet you, Stu, and yeah, I'm really excited to see where we're going to take this. The gaming industry needs some fresh blood that's passionate behind the indies and that's defending and fighting the good fight.
What would you say excites you the most about joining GDL?
I think the ability to make a continuous impact over the year, with To the Moon. Obviously, it's one big flagship event at the end
Hmm.
of the year. It's November, right? So it's a case of, with GDL, we can now expand our reach, ideally nationally, and have a bit more of an intimate connection with the indies as well, and help them on a genuine level throughout their entire journey. Instead of trying to do one big activation, helping them as much as we can at that point, we can now help continuously throughout the year, because I think that's something that happens at a lot of game jams, for example.
Hmm.
There's no aftercare at the end of the day. It's a case of people kind of just jump on board. They're like, "Yeah, we'll do the game jam." And then that, cheers for participating in the game jam, guys. We'll see you later. Bye. See till whenever.
Yeah.
So it's that aftercare, I think, is really important. That continuous community building, relationship building, and just helping where you can. But indies are my favorite meetings that we take,
Yeah. The small
by a long
guys
way.
fighting
Yeah,
the
man.
good fight.
The creativeness is still there. It's not somebody talking about P&L lines. It's somebody talking about their story, and somebody talking about showcasing a story of their life or showcasing their culture.
Hmm.
I took a meeting with a chap based over in India last week, and he was talking about how he's basically bringing his historical culture. He's using, obviously, like Google Maps and stuff like that to scan 3D scan. As
Oh,
you
nice.
probably can tell by my lingo, I'm not a dev, but I understand the
Yeah.
basics of it, right? But he's showcasing his story and him growing up in India in this indie game, and it's soulful at the end of the day, man. It's
Yeah.
soulful.
I think, yeah, I mean, that's kind of, you know, I've said for years that all of the real innovation that happens in games, especially now, comes from indies. The big guys, you know, they've got their games, they've got their franchise, and they can't steer too far from it. They're kind of trapped by their audience, right? The audience don't want to play something different from these big guys unless it's an outlier.
Mm.
and then when you do see like some big innovation, it tends to be that that big studio bought the game from a smaller studio, or bought the smaller studio as a whole thing.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, whereas in the indie space, every indie game is just someone's quirky idea. Like I've experienced this around this mechanic, and I think that we could do more with it. And yeah, you just see tons of innovation. And like you say, there's the stories that you get from people, whether it's like their game doesn't particularly tell that story in like a real world setting. A lot of people like to do it in a fantasy setting, and then it's the story of their life, but through some fantasy, magical wonderfulness. And yeah, I just think same as you. That's all, that's what I do at my studio.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, we're talking today about events, about why events are important to indies, and like maybe we can throw in some do's and don'ts, or just general topical advice. But um, I think that obviously me being an event creator in the game space, you being an event creator in the game space, um, what would you say? Um, what would you say is the key thing about game dev events that matter for indies?
It's the right people in the room. It applies to networking. It applies to like networking events. It applies to consumer facing events. It just applies to events in general. You need to ensure it's the right people in the room. In the UK, we've seen a kind of mishmash of kind of like different genres or different cultures into one. In terms of like pop culture, for example, or and gaming, and like just being like merged into one. At the end of the day, from my PR marketing background, from the clients that we had when we attended those kinds of events, the ROI was slim because it's never the right people in the room. There's obviously some amazing gaming events out there. Gamescom obviously being one of them. Tokyo Game Show, just to name a couple of them that are gaming dedicated, right? And they have a little bit of board games, a little bit of like TTRPGs in there. They've got obviously some like anime sections and all that kind of jazz. But in the case of gaming, they are dedicated to it and they showcase where that part is dedicated, and it is a big activation. It is something that's been curated directly for gamers over years and years of running events. And I think it's really important as event organizers that we stay true to what we do and what our mission is, why we started these events in the first place. It's not a cash grab. It's not a case of, oh yeah, we just want to sell tickets. It's a case of we're here to genuinely try and support and help the ecosystem thrive.
Yeah,
And it's a problem at the moment because we have a lot of event organizers in the space that just aren't in it for the passion.
yeah,
And it kills me to see it because we see our gamers, right? Gamers at the moment, they're done. They're done being sucked for liquidity. You've seen the Steam review bombs. You've seen the outroar online, and it's a case of nobody wants to experience that anymore. Nobody
hmm
wants to pay 40 quid to go into a mall and buy merch.
yeah,
People want to go in there and experience things. They want to experience an immersive experience from a studio is something that we focus on massively. And as studio, we'll start focusing on it massively as well. It's a case of what we were trying to curate is being able to bring people into the stories and into the worlds that the studios have built, and it's about reconnecting the community with those studios at the same time, because we are very segmented as an industry right now. It's a case of we have the gamers, the studios, the publishers, and then the VCs are somewhere off in the distance
yeah,
because the majority of them don't even get hands on. And it's a case of the gamers kind of like hate the studios because the studios don't listen to them, and then there's this really negative sentiment there that then filters off into content creators who will kill games before they're released because an art style isn't nice. And also like all of this like negative consumer cycle that we're in right now. It's all from not listening to community, and it's all from over it's all from over monetization at the end of the day.
mm,
I think it's really important that we remember that as event organizers we have a duty to the gamers. We have a duty to ensure that who we are putting in front of people are the legitimate studios. And I'm not saying that over monetization makes you a non-legitimate studio, but I'm saying it definitely hurts your consumer reputation if you're trying to sell a DLC for $150, right? Or you like the special editions is a really good example on that. I'm going to go off on a
no,
tangent
no,
on
yeah,
this,
go,
but like the special editions, right? Back in the day, you go and buy a special edition, you get IRL figurine, you get like a magazine, or you get some artwork, whatever, like full blown collector's edition kind of vibe. When I see special editions going on sale on a digital format, which come with a couple of pictures attached as a PDF in a PDF file or a magazine, It just doesn't have the same effect, and it feels like then they're charging the same price for it, but you're getting nothing really in return. Sure, you could go to a print shop and get it printed,
Yeah.
but you're maybe unlocking 4 skins in a game or 4 extra items in a game for buying the pre-purchase alpha, beta, whatever, right? Um, and then you're getting a PDF file and maybe like a couple of MP3s for the music. What?
Yeah.
Like you can literally go into the game files and pull that stuff yourself from just buying the normal edition. And it just makes no sense. And it just seems like it's a case of trying to cut costs while increase profits. And that's not what the gaming industry is about. The gaming industry is about trying to build and make amazing stories, right, and tell amazing stories, because it's a cultural bridge, and it can be used to communicate. It's like music at the end of the day. Doesn't matter where you are, who you're from, where you are, who you're from. Christ, my brain. Doesn't matter where you are in the world, right? You can sit down, and as humans, we want to be entertained. That's just a
Yeah.
categorical thing of life. And you can just sit down and enjoy a game together. But anyway, tangented it. Gaming events. Make sure the right people in the room, and make sure it's not extortionately expensive. Is another big one. Studios, or specifically indie studios. And I was living off ramen for about 2 years after I graduated.
Yep.
You don't have the cash for Gamescom at the end of the day. If you do, great, smash it out, but make sure your product is ready. Make sure your game is ready to be showcased on that kind of level.
It's funny because it used to be like kind of gatekeepy in that to go to a big expo, you it kind of made sense and it kind of didn't make sense because to go to a big expo, take your game to a big expo, you
Yeah,
had to be showcase ready, but you were spending a minimum of £2,000 to be at that show.
yeah,
And even with like the high footfall that you can get, that £2,000 doesn't equate to like a whole bunch of like new people buying your game. Certainly not enough for it to cover the 2 grand that you put in. And
yeah,
and what started to happen over like the last 5-10 years with these big events is that yeah, the starting price is £2,000, but then do you want Wi-Fi? Well, you have to pay a bit extra. Do you want an extra chair? You have to pay extra for that. Like,
yeah,
there were all these tiny, tiny little things that like should have just been part of the package that they then were like, that's an added extra, that's an added extra. If
yeah,
you want, and then by the time, obviously, you don't want to go and showcase and not look as good as the game that's sitting next to you. So everyone starts spending these little bit of extras so that they can stand out, and then so then like for you to showcase, you're not just spending a minimum of £2,000. You're spending like five. I heard like back in the day some studios spending £10,000, and this did mean that mostly you couldn't showcase, especially as an indie, you couldn't showcase unless your publisher was bringing you there,
yeah.
or like you had some kind of funding backing, and it ate up your funding, especially when you've got like yeah anywhere between £2,000 to £10,000. That's money you could spend on an entire design cycle. Like,
Yeah, it's crazy. It's absolutely mental. The figures there are lowball as well, Stu. Like you have some of the larger studios spending up in the millions for
mm,
some of their stores.
yeah,
We spoke to so many indies at Gamescom. Figures from like €8,000, not including their travel. Depending on
mm,
where they're exhibiting.
yeah,
Um, but interestingly enough, I saw a lot of Crafton indies there though. So Crafton have been doing some work in terms of trying to help their indies out and put people like and help out with the cost, right? But at the end of the day, welcome to late stage capitalism.
yeah,
It's kind of what it is at the end of the day, with in terms of how people are kind of curating what their events are and how they're pricing and what their structure is like internally. It's just how the cookie crumbles, right? We've
mm,
got to try and fix it in some kind of way, and that's obviously what we're trying to curate here through GDL, through to the moon, through pioneering for the indies, because we're in a bit of an indie renaissance right now. You see indie games like Valheim back during the pandemic taking off out of nowhere. You see creators wanting to work with indies more now than the publishers and the studios.
yeah,
I know we have a few creators coming down to the event in November that charge upwards of 100K for a video, for a 10-second clip on their socials, but they'll work for free for projects that they're passionate about and believe in. And it's nuts to see that at the end of the day, the creators don't want to work with some of the larger studios because they know that the monetization practices are a bit scuffed.
mm,
Um, it, it's just an interesting world we live in, and the market right now is very interesting in terms of games. You've obviously got a lot of different AAAs coming out. You've got a lot of different indies trying to break out, but the indies are doing well. Schedule One, right? It just smashed it out of the park. It wasn't like a super polished Unreal 5 quadruple A graphics, to quote a certain CEO. It was amazing. It was great. The game loop was sorted. The game loop was cool. People enjoyed it, and they could stream it, and it had content that you could literally take online, no matter where you were, be it on TikTok, be it on Instagram, be it on whatever, and you can take a clip out of it, 10-second clip, and you can just post it, and you're done. And my marketing and PR brain loves that kind of stuff, because if you have a game that is clippable,
Mm-hmm.
you're sold. You're done. Even, and
Yeah.
it's a case of being able to pick it up and pick it down, and pick it up and put it back down again. You can play it in 30-minute intervals. You can play it in 40-minute intervals. It's not a case of you're going to get into the game and you're going to be stuck there for 4 hours trying to reach a checkpoint. It's about having those kinds of games that you can come on board with, and that you can just pick up, put down at ease, play with friends, and also have that aspect within it for streaming aspects, and for having the ability to curate content behind it. And it's something that I always say to the indies when I see them. I think there was a shopping game that it's like you have to sneak into a shopping mall. I can't remember the name of the game. I'm really sorry if you see this, guys, but there's so many games.
Yeah.
But you had to sneak into a shopping mall, and it's like multiplayer. And then one of the players is being the security guard, and the other player is, it's called last minute, last orders. I'm not too sure. I think it's last minute. You have to basically go into the shopping mall. It's about to close, and you have to get as much stuff as you can. And when it closes, you have to
Right.
break
Right.
in. It goes from very much like, oh, I really need that meal deal, to I'm now going to commit a criminal offense and break into
Yeah.
break into a
Yeah.
supermarket. But it's definitely a clippable game, because you bring in a couple of streamers who are like rivals. I know, like, we've got Noah Motley, for example, in League of Legends tournament, and Sloppy Walrus, and they're known for their rivalry. And it's a case of they can come in, they can play that, be on either side. Communities can get behind it. Even if you get Twitch interactions, and you get some form of like viewer interaction, it helps games. It helps growth, because at the end of the day, if you've got content creators playing your game, you're doing something right. Like before your eyes, I think it was Before Your Eyes. Another one that used eye technology. Every time you blinked, you fast forwarded through the journey. Super
Oh
sad
wow.
game. But that blew up during the pandemic as well. I think there's just
Yeah.
loads of really cool, innovative games. But anyway, I'm tangenting
No,
again.
that's what it's all about.
Fire away, mate.
Um, in the what's been your uh best, and then what's been your worst event experience?
Oh God,
Mm.
trying to get me sued, dude. Um,
This is just a
okay.
personal experience. There's nothing to sue here. We went,
Yeah, but it's so biased now. In term,
well,
okay, best experience for me. God, to be honest, it was probably the first time I went to Gamescom, because it was
right,
just so overwhelming. It must have been like the first time I went to Gamescom.
yeah.
It was. I mean, we're talking consumer facing, right? Or we're talking B2B as
Well,
well.
yeah. I mean, either way, yeah,
Gamescom is up there for me.
yeah.
Into that first experience, when I first walked through those doors, the nerd I am, I walked through into that consumer area. I'm like, what the hell is this? This is heaven. Massive activations across the board, from and being able to interact with the devs, and being able to interact with some of the people behind it. I found that really fascinating. Um, and it's partly why I'm in this job as well. It's a case of, like, we get to speak to some of the people that are behind some of my favorite games from my childhood. I
Yeah.
get to quiz them and be like, "Yo, okay, so when you remastering that, or when's that coming out?" Because, like, come on,
And
everything
also,
else has been
you get
remastered.
to ask
Just do
those
that game.
questions where you're like, is that is that canon? Is that like part of, like, was that supposed? Is that
Yeah,
what you were thinking? Is like everyone online is saying this, and then there's other people online saying this, but like you can tell me.
yeah, exactly. Like, it's a case of, I think Gamescom just blew me away.
Yeah.
Um, I wouldn't say it's the worst, but it was probably the most expensive experience,
Mm.
from a business side, and it would have been PAX. And that was in PAX East. It was just a bit pricey, and it wasn't just on the event space price. It was on the hotels and stuff as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
I think that was a bit crazy. We ended up going on a road trip afterwards, which was great fun. But at the same time, like, that the pricing schedule for it was just is madness. Absolute craziness. And that was part of the problem, right? Is that we were always having to pitch, and it wasn't just to that one client there. We were always having to pitch ROI to activate IRL against a digital marketing campaign. And when you're talking prices like that, that digital marketing campaign, right, in terms of impressions, in terms of hitting specific KPIs, if you've got a VC or an investor down your throat as a studio, being like, we want to see returns, we want to see this, we want to see that, the digital marketing campaign is always the safe bet, and it's always the
Yeah,
one that normally delivers, right? Depending on who's actually doing your marketing. If you just got some geezer just shoving out something, then it's probably not going to work, right? But
right.
if you have a GTM strategy behind a specific activation or a specific update or patch or etc., then you're normally okay. But that digital marketing campaign basically wins every single time in terms of that ROI fight. When you're speaking to C-suites, when you're speaking to executives, it's a case of that they'll say, "Why am I going to spend £50,000 on a booth, and I can spend and like we'll maybe get through 2,500 people over an event,
Mm,
depending on how long it is." And that's a high estimate as well, like
yeah,
super high estimate. If you're playing a demo for like 10, I know you've got four setups, you get everyone coming in for 10 minutes. Yeah, you're not looking at many people. You're more looking at like brand awareness and just showing that you were there. And that's what a lot of these events now turn into, is a case of it's who's got the biggest stick kind of vibe, where people turn up and say, look how much money I've spent here. And even
yeah,
for like the advertising, and even for some of the placements on some of the stages, right? Those prices are madness. Like you're looking at like 200 grand for a 30-second ad placement. It's you might as well go to the Super Bowl, right? Or go
yeah,
to like a
yeah,
commercial sports channel.
yeah,
But then, obviously, to touch my own point, it's not the right people in the room. Depending on the game, if it's maybe FIFA or something like that, then you might hit it on the ball there. But yeah, it's awkward. So yeah, I think again, Gamescom up there 100% just for the wow factor, because it's just so big. I think it's like 360,000 people that came this year, 380,000, some crazy number.
yeah.
Um, but that
Yeah, see,
is
that's good for like you say, you don't if you're especially if you're in India, if you're thinking like I'm gonna go to this, I'm gonna showcase my game, a whole bunch of people are gonna sit down and play it. No, a lot of people aren't gonna sit down and play it, but a lot of people will stand around and watch someone play it. And so then you're up against like how much like foot space have you got around your station?
yeah.
Um, what have you got around your station? Like the smart indies that I've seen tend to have something that you can do around their stall. Like maybe there's what was it? There's like a toy dispenser thing that's actually they've co-opted, so it's got like you don't pay anything, you just turn the thing and you get out a thing, and that's like some merch, normally like a badge or something, so
Yeah.
that you've got people coming over. There's something that can they can engage with, and that's the only way that you're going to get the volume of eyes on your game that you want. Like you need
Yeah.
to stand out,
You
and
need to
then
showcase why people should come to you. And this
yeah,
is what I say to everybody. Is like, we had another game that's coming on board, right, for the November event, and they've got like a goblin. It's like a goblin game. I don't remember any of the names of these games. It's like such an asshole. But it's a goblin game, and you literally you be a asshole goblin. You go around pranking people. You go around tripping people up. And I said to the devs, I was like, guys, get one of you dressed up as a goblin, go around, and like obviously don't cause me a health and safety nightmare, but go
yeah,
around and be the goblin, and go and give like Steam codes, or go to the creators and get them to in the creator zone to get like dress up as a goblin. Like just do something that makes you stand out, because standing out at game events is incredibly difficult, especially if you're in a room with some like the top boys like Bandai and Ubisoft and all the like the super conglomerate level studios, right? Such publishers. If you're in there as like a smaller game, because sometimes they do that. They normally
hmm
have an indie dedicated zone, but sometimes there's overflow. They overbook space. You could
yeah.
end up next to one of those, which is great at the end of the day. But you are going to need to do something crazy to get people to turn around from looking at that next big, I know, Assassin's Creed release or Tekken up there, whatever, right? You're
It's
gonna
a
have to get them
definite
to
like
turn around.
blessing slash curse, isn't it? Like
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword. The
yeah,
entire industry is a double-edged sword, because what you do for something on one aspect, it's going to annoy somebody else on the other aspect, or it's going to shoot yourself in the foot. 5 years down the line. Um, like the cannibalistic VC approach that some VCs go, where they try and take as many studios as humanly possible, and then they will just strip them for parts. And it's almost like they're trying to destroy the competition. It's what it looks like, because
Mm,
it's what's happened in our history before.
yeah.
Is that to get rid of the competition, you buy them out, right? And that's just kind of, yeah, again, late stage capitalism. It's one of those, and it's why we've seen a lot of events in the UK kind of disappear as well, because of players in here that are just like, nah, we want, this is our land, this is our town, this is our
Yeah.
our market. Um, Alas, no longer. I think it's a case of we've got to try and stop it, because when there is a monopoly, they set the prices, my friend, and that's kind of what's happened now. We've
Yeah.
got a very small amount of events to choose from globally. Even I think it's probably about 10 that would have impact on a studio to exhibit at, and they're pretty much, not all of them. I'd say a good half of them are owned by the same company, and it's very difficult to try and tackle that at the end of the day. But look,
I mean,
I
it's, this
think
is all.
we've
This is why, like, I've always focused on doing on indie focused events, like smaller scale indie focused events, because then, like, that not only are you not competing with the big guys, but indies are friendly and supportive with each other, and it just becomes the most wholesome thing seeing
no,
like these guys are talking to those guys who are their neighbors at, like, and sharing tips or like helping them out, or like
yeah.
which you just don't see it at, well, at least I've not witnessed it directly at the big events.
There's more of a vibe check with the larger studios, is what I've seen. It's a case of, as an event organizer, you know this, Stu, right? It's a case of, when you start a new event, it's very much a chicken and egg scenario.
Hmm.
It's a brand new event. This is obviously what we've experienced the last year. And people are like, so who's coming? I'm like, okay, well, we've got these people that are interested, etc., etc., etc. But, oh, we don't see on the website. We're not announcing it because competition is rife, right? We have
Hmm.
to be really careful with who we announce, otherwise they'll get poached, etc.,
Yeah.
etc. Um, and like that was seen in Gamescom massively this year. Their lineup went out 2 weeks before the event, maybe 3 weeks, I think it was. Super, super late. I've never seen an event line out go out so late before in my life. Whether or not that's, I don't think it was due to not there not being enough people, but I think it was due to the competitive nature of the event industry.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, and it's just one of those kinds of issues that you kind of got to face at the end of the day.
I mean, they're
Um,
also in the kind of position where they can do that like late stage drop. I mean, everyone's probably already
Well, yeah,
bought their mostly
they
bought
cut
their
off at
tickets.
6 months before. I think it's a 6 month cutoff window for Gamescom to apply. So they'll be onboarding now, and then until April, May. If my market research is correct, I could be entirely wrong, but I think they've got like a 6 month cutoff period prior to the actual event itself.
Yeah.
Um, but that's what happens when you've got such a successful event. They've smashed it out the park. They've absolutely smashed it out the park. It's funny, and funnily enough, like ticket sales for To the Moon, we have a very large percentage of German ticket sales. Huge percentage. I think UK only accounts for 34% of our tickets.
Wow.
Like, to put that into context, right? Like we are like, we're international in that kind of sense, but what we were trying to curate was a cornerstone for the UK games industry.
Yeah.
That's what we were trying to create. We're trying to curate an ability for international studios to be able to come over, and to collaborate with UK based studios, get
Yeah.
access to UK based indies, get access to the amazing talent pool that we have here in this country, right? And that's what I'm really excited to work with you on, is like being able to access student talent and being able to foster that talent and being able to curate amazing IP from the brain fart it could come from, right? It could be one of those random conversations on a late night, and they're like, "Yeah, we really like this idea. Okay, we're gonna, I don't know, this sword can do this, blah blah blah. Let's just go crazy with it."
I mean, I remember hearing that like the UK's biggest export is creative. Like the the biggest thing that we ship out there is our culture, our UK-ness, I guess you'd call it.
Yeah,
And it's yes, it's it's the same for games. It's we're all sharing our sense of humor, our way of thinking, because in it's nuanced enough that when you share it like into America as an example, although apparently China eats up a lot of our creative game exports. Like it's just they don't experience that kind of stuff in their day to day, and so the game not only like does it look really different, it feels really different.
Yeah, it's interesting that obviously we had one of the largest game economies in the globe, and we've fallen behind ever so slightly. As interesting, like mentioned, like localization into China and stuff like that. Like we have government entities in the country that are encouraging it, and I feel like it's really important to remember that we need to make games for people here as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
In terms of like capital spend per player and stuff like that, the UK is one of the highest. I think it's probably about double, if not triple. Somebody can fact check me in LinkedIn. I know there'll be somebody there going
Yeah.
to type in. But in terms of spend on games, the UK's got one of the highest. So why government entities in our country would advise people to localize out into China, for example, where you have so many different legislations you have to jump through, you have so many different procedures you have to jump through, you have to utilize specific publishers, etc., etc. Is nuts because no indie is going to be able to do that really at the end of the day. If we're being realistic, an indie game that's a solo team, duo team, trio team, right? A
Hmm.
small team, maybe 4 people, let's say, unless somebody has got experience in international trade and has got experience in Mandarin, for example, is a really good one to have. Or Cantonese, depending where you're going. It's really important to remember that localizing isn't the be all and end all for indies. And it can be painted like that. It can be like, oh, so if you go localize in China, or if you go localize in I don't know India or South Africa or the States, right? Your sales will be amazing. Blah blah blah. Like, no, it's not like that. Do your first project and make sure that it's solid and then localize after is what I say. But that I'm not a business dev for a game studio, right? It's a case of what works for you.
There,
I know what
I can
works for
tell
the
you that
marketing.
there is like localization, like Chinese Basic is like um, a good one to aim for.
Yeah,
But yeah, in terms of percentage, it's not wild. It doesn't add like mass. It doesn't like you said, it doesn't turn into like a big crazy payday. It if you're a small studio, the impact is there because obviously you're a
mm,
small studio, and it does give you a broader audience reach, especially because they're trying to export. But again, like if you need to do it properly, and in order to do
yeah.
it properly, you need to have money. And so if you haven't got financial backing, again, it's like it's out of your reach. So yeah, it's well, as with all of these things, like being an indie studio, there are so many things, so many little dials that you could like dial up that will improve your chances without aiming for something like localization, which
Yeah,
yeah, which is generally outreach. There are things you could do with marketing. There are things you can do with music for your game. There are things you can do with the artists that you collaborate with, your voice artists. Um, yeah, or there's all loads of little things that you can do to increase your percentage of reach.
a
Um,
100%.
and I think when it comes to events, obviously, what when you're an indie studio, what you need to focus on isn't so much the number of people that are going to sit down and play your game. It's the content that you can create from being there, because there's a lot of online noise around these events, and so you can become part of that. You can use that as part of your traction, and you
Yeah,
can be like, this was our booth, and this was this person playing the game. You can get loads of fun clips of people playing your game and experiencing things where you're like, oh, that's total. Like you say, if you've got a clippable game, it's a really good space to do that.
the digital activations at events help massively as well. Steam pages, etc., etc. Being able to bundle your games up with other indies, right?
Hmm.
It's super super useful. Like doing like a horror bundle from To the Moon Expo or from Arcadia, right? It could be there could be a potential there to help with wish lists. It could be a potential there to help with the marketing aspect, ensuring that you can bring content creators to help with that kind of networking, minus the agencies as well. Indies and agencies for content creators just kind of don't work, because a content creator's agent is always going to be looking to get the best for their client at the end of the day.
And
But
take
at
their
this,
percentage.
there you go. Yes, you beat me to it. Like it's one of those, and that's why we kind of try and steer away from content creator agencies, and we try and
Mm,
build personal rapport with creators. Um, because in doing so, building that personal rapport, you get to know them as human beings, right? They're not just
yeah.
like monkeys there to perform for people and to do
Yeah.
whatever. They're humans as well, right? Um, and getting the whole the nitty gritty business stuff out the way super early and saying, look, we're looking to do something with you. If you fancy playing this game, you could play this game. If you don't fancy it, there's absolutely no worries at all. And just reaching out to content creators, but getting through to them. My God, is that the hard part? And we've
Yeah, I
even
bet.
struggled with that. Getting through the thousands of DMs that some of the larger content creators get every single day, getting
Hmm.
through even like medium sized, right? Or your micro, macro, if you want specific terminology. Somebody is probably going to be like, he doesn't know what marketing is. He's not using the right terminology. But yeah, like micro, macro
Yeah.
guys, but also ensuring that they're the right content creator for you as well to help you out with your strategy. Um, but if you have just one person play it, it can cause a ripple effect. It's like throwing a stone into a river. You're going to see that ripple go all the way out, and it could hit a couple of other stones in the process, right? To use an analogy or metaphor, God knows what else. I'm so ill, Stu. My brain is just not working. I'm here like, what are these words? But yeah, look, I'd love to hear your thoughts on pandemic, post-pandemic events.
Uh,
What
well,
happened?
so we were doing in-person events before the pandemic. We were doing smaller scale stuff. I say we. It was actually our original um, co-founder Jade, who was running physical events, and then yeah, the pandemic hit, and fortunately we had set up a Discord, so we just moved everything online.
Mm-hmm.
And as I would say that I personally had like a love-hate relationship with the online stuff, doing it online, because also because everyone started doing it. Everyone was like, "Oh, we'll just do it online," and some of it was like that became the death of like a lot of events because it's not the same being in the same room as people. It's not the same as being
Mm.
online. Like because no matter how much you fight it, like right now, you and I are staring at a camera,
Yeah, but
staring at a screen. Like
yeah.
it's just not the same. So we were tentatively one of the first ones, like once the pandemic was over, to launch an event, and that's when we launched the first GDLX. Um, that went like incredibly well, despite the headaches of like making sure people were wearing masks and making sure that like I believe we had those temperature guns at everyone's like forehead as they came
Yeah,
in the door.
what venue was that, by the way, Stu?
That was Samsung King's Cross, and that was like part of the rules that they had in place. Um, yeah, it was amazing. So
You know what's crazy? I'm pretty certain because I've been umming and ahhing about this that I came to that
that's amazing.
back in the day. Because I was doing loads of events like post pandemic
Yeah.
because obviously the whole content creator thing, right? I'm pretty certain I came to at least one of them. This venue looks disgustingly familiar to me. But no, sorry, Stu, carry on.
Yeah, so and I mean, obviously, that event now has grown from I think we had 150 people attend that event to we now have like 500 people attend GDLX,
Yeah,
and I think that there's been so much change in the event space since pandemic. There's been even if you look at like the first EGX that came out of the pandemic,
yeah,
um, they they ummed and ahed about whether or not they were going to do it or not, and then a lot of the big players like pulled out. I don't know whether it was last minute or not, but like you could see on the floor that there were like big gaps where things should have been,
yeah,
and in some cases it literally was just like they'd put chairs there, so it's just like concrete floor and chairs,
yeah. It
which is
was.
cool. Like, but there wasn't the footfall, so like they literally were spaces full of chairs. There was like kind of ghostly ghost town. Um, and I think we're kind of getting to a point now where people are used to not only are they used to it, they want to get back to it.
Yeah,
I think we're entering a phase of like people have been living chronically online since for some people since before the pandemic. Like I've always been mostly, well, certainly once I got into the games industry, work from home.
yeah,
And I remember at the start of the pandemic, like my friends being like, oh no, I've got to work from home, and I was like, this is a breeze.
Yeah.
You don't know the ways. But even I prefer working like face to face. I don't particularly like sitting in my room at my desk all day. So I think people are getting to the point where yeah, in-person events are more important. Um, Getting to hang out with your friends and see new games that are coming out, potentially wishlist them or whatever. But the importance for indies on the indie side is that yeah, you need to be aware that it's not going to be 1,000 people playing your game, but it's going to be a ton of people who get eyes on your game, and it's about what you do to get the benefit of being at a showcase. I personally love to use it, like for our studio, my studio. We showcased our demo. This was at Medway, and we use it as a free playtesting session. You just
Yeah.
stand back, you watch someone play your game, you avoid the temptation, like the cringy temptation to go over and go, oh, you just need to do this. It's just you just don't
Yeah.
know this about my game. You just need to stand back and painfully watch someone struggle. And uh, and then the second time we showed it, I remember Johnny, who's our like game designer programmer, we were experiencing people like finding bugs and stuff in the first half of the day. And at lunch, he was like just squirreling away and like making edits so that when so we literally updated it during the day. And I think that's like a really powerful thing. I mean, obviously, you don't particularly want to be doing that kind of adjustment, but I mean, we had a hell of a time doing that.
It must have been an absolute carnage. Yeah, it's something that a lot of indies don't think about is the fact that you're essentially getting playtesters, right?
Hmm.
Um, I love breaking games. I absolutely adore it. It's the first thing I try and do. If I see a texture or some kind of mesh that hasn't been done properly, I'm going to spend at least 15 minutes trying to crouch jump through that and get under the map. Like, I am a proper bastard when it comes down to like trying to break games. And when you have gamers all in a room together, some of them are exactly like that. Hell, some content creators even curate their entire brand around that. I know, like Spiffing Brit, for example, is a really good example of that, where like 2K will send him copies of their game to playtest now
Mm,
because he just knows how to break them. And it's balancing and stuff like that, especially obviously when it comes to strategy games, balancing is a nightmare. Even the same with like live service games and some of the other stuff, right? But with like Civilization 7, he was one of the first people to play it, and he just broke it to living hell, and just found so many exploits in
that's
it because
amazingly cheap QA.
yeah, it's probably not on like the content creator side. It's probably a bit more expensive. Like just for people that enjoy trying to break games, and even
Mm.
having your peers and your industry peers play it, because not everyone's going to stand at their stall for the entire expo, right? People are going to walk around. People want to
I've always
experience.
said that you need those two things at an event, especially like for indies, and we try and curate that as much as possible. And that is that you have other game devs play your game, because when
Yeah,
they play your game, A, they're a bit more gentle with you because they understand the pain that you went through in order to make the game and get it here to where
yeah,
it is today. But B, they tend to have a solution for you, or they go, oh my god, how did you do that in your game? We've been trying to do it in our game, and I've just not been able to make it work. And so like you get this really nice collaborative knowledge exchange, but you also need what I lovingly call dumb players, because
yeah,
players don't think about it the same way that developers do. Of course they don't. And you need to see a player do something in your game that you hadn't planned for, because you're not a player. You're not thinking dumbly. You're thinking, this is what you do in my game. This is how
yeah.
this is what you're supposed to do in the game. And players will be like, oh, the game told them to go right and they went left. Like, why did you go left? Oh, I just wanted to explore, but there's nothing there. Well, okay. But maybe there should be something to explore, because
Like a
players might,
collectible or
yeah,
something like
or
that. Yeah,
anything like reward exploration is, one of the key cornerstones of what we do. But yeah, there's ways that you can benefit from being at an event that I think most indies will just look at, oh, it's going to cost me X amount. And yet, when it's the big price tags, I fully understand that. But when it's like a smaller price tag, never underestimate like the volume of value that you can get from taking your game and putting it in front of people.
yeah, for sure, for sure. Um, I guess that kind of like brings us quite neatly into like the vision for what we're trying to curate here. In terms of in terms of GDL and TTM, and obviously where we want to take it. I guess I'll let you kind of take it off there really and ask for your thoughts on it, in terms of where we're aiming for here, to be frank.
I mean, obviously, our the core goal that we have, like one of our, I guess what you call one of the pillars of what we have, uh, is that supporting indies to fail less, and to, because there's this horrible stat out there that I've been dining on for years, and that is that 9 out of 10 studios, 9 out of 10 studios fail.
Yeah,
And if we can make it so that it's even like 1% or 0.5% less likely that you will be one of those studios,
yeah,
then absolutely like fantastic. And I think, we try and do that in a number of ways. Yes, there's the showcase and you get to have people play your game and you get to do this knowledge share, but we also um, have like speakers that talk about things in games, and you get to speak to people, professionals who deal with things like marketing, um, or production pipelines. Especially like when you're an indie studio, what tends to happen is, especially after the mass layoffs that have happened, and people that were laid off 2 weeks to 2 months later are in a new job, and then, oh look, they're made redundant again. These are the people that go, like, sod it, I've got an opportunity here. I'm going to start my own studio, and that's part of the reason why we're seeing so many. But just because you've been part of, like, you understand some certain areas of development for making games, doesn't mean that you know how to run a studio, doesn't mean that you understand production pipelines, doesn't mean that you understand
yeah,
marketing. And so obviously what we're trying to do is support you in learning all of that stuff as fast as possible. Um, and realistically making sure that, like, there's 1,000 things you can do to improve your chances, but there tends to be like 4 or 5 core things that you absolutely just need to know so that you don't die. And we try and support studios in those areas.
yeah, for sure. I think it's really important to try and fill knowledge gaps. 100%. I've met some amazing, amazing devs. Business acumen doesn't exist, but they
Mm.
are the most creative, insanely talented devs in the world. And I think it's a case of you need to be able to talk to people to be able to fill in those knowledge gaps for you. Because at the end of the day, not everyone's great at everything. I will wholeheartedly, hands up, say that I cannot dev. Full stop. Tried to make a dog in Unreal Engine once, right? I was like, I can't be that difficult. Downloaded Blender and got Unreal 5. I was like, yeah, it was Unreal 4. So I'm like, yeah, it's easy, easy, easy. It looked like a loaf of bread, right? The dog was just not a dog, it was a loaf of bread, and it couldn't
Wow.
walk. It was it was rolling, it was not good. I was like, oh, it could be easier. And that's like I was like, nah. Nah, this is okay for me. I think we'll drop on that. I think it's really important to be self-critical, right, as well, and know what you can and cannot do, and be
Hmm.
open to getting help from people and going to those talks and listening to those speakers, because at the end of the day you will always learn something. And I think as a cornerstone, as event organizers, we have to ensure that people learn something from attending the events. If people can leave being inspired, if people can leave knowing how to implement that mechanic specifically, or I don't know, procedurally generate the next level, whatever people are looking to come for. It's really important to ensure that we can provide that. Um, and yeah, it's just to just take it from there. To be frank with you, uh, keep building on knowledge, keep building on everything, and keep building on yourself as a studio head. Right, a lot of these teams that we've spoken to are two man teams, three, four, maybe like five at a push.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get like a couple of people that are there, like, oh, we've got a 10-man team. I'm like, well, okay, cool. Still technically indie. You got funding yet,
Those
etc.,
tend
etc.
to be, in my experience, those tend to be uni student teams.
Yeah, like
They
full
they were
blown.
all in the same like
No,
uni, or they were all in the same class, and then
they're either uni students or they're the same group of veterans that have left the studio, like a big AAA, and then they've gone
mm.
out together
The
because their
thing is, that
creativity is
used to
being
be
curbed.
so good. If you were like, um, well, I say it used to be so good. It was so good for you if you were ex AAA.
Yeah,
You could be like a team of 5 guys who were ex AAA. You put together a pitch deck. You don't even need the build, and you go to publisher, investor. We used to work at in
blah blah
insert
blah.
big,
Yeah,
yeah, company name, and they saw dollar signs in their eyes, and they're like, "Yeah, we'll back that, sure." And then and then over time, the investors and publishers have realized the same thing that we've all known all along, and that is that yeah, you know how to make a game. Do you know how to make a good game?
Yeah.
Do you know how to do audience research? Do you know like yeah, all the things we said before, publishing, marketing, like do you know how to do all of those things? No, you just know how to like make some game assets or you know how to program some mechanics.
Yeah, it's really it's a problem because then those kinds of studios will go out there and then they will try to recruit people to fill that knowledge gap, right? So they'll go and speak to a marketing agency that maybe has done marketing on a really big basis, right? They'll get a nice big injection of VC funding, so they'll be like, okay,
Yep.
sweet, we've got a couple mil to play with, probably a lot more than that, depending on what the game is around what they're pitching. But they'll come on and say, okay, we've got this huge budget, let's onboard some subcontractors, let's onboard because like subcontracting now is the big thing, right? Or
It's
co-dev's the
huge.
big thing, because it keeps your overheads low but also minces your VC funding really quickly. You're not one just on like a business level. You're not curating a culture behind your studio if you do that
Hmm.
because subcontractors are mercenaries. They're
Yep.
coming in to do a job and they're going to leave. Half of them probably aren't even from the gaming. I can say that on a marketing and PR level. The marketing and PR companies out there that I've seen that are working in the gaming industry, buddy, I won't even go into it. So I'll go off on a proper tangent about it.
Yeah.
It's one of those, and the same can apply for co-devs, right? But co-devs normally, if you're working as a co-dev and you're developing games, you have a passion for games.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the roles that aren't initially creative, so well, accounting is creative to an extent, but accounting, your legal, your marketing, right? You can be insane at marketing makeup. It doesn't mean you're going to be good at marketing games. It's an entirely separate thing. And when you see business models from marketing agencies that try and repurpose themselves to jump on a hype to be like, oh, gaming's huge now. That looks like a huge market opportunity for us
Yeah.
as a
We know
marketing
marketing.
agency.
We can market
Yeah, it'd
anything.
be easy
Yeah.
as hell.
No.
They come in, one, they've never played a video game. This also applies to event organizers as well. Half of them don't play video games. I know I've
Mm.
spoken to a lot of our competitors, and half of them don't play video games. I'm like, well,
Yeah.
why are you heading up the marketing department, the video game department for your event if you don't play them? It's
Yeah.
mad.
Yeah.
But you see these people kind of just jumping on the bandwagon. They're like, okay, cool, gaming, love it, beautiful. They'll charge you the earth for it, and they'll say, here you go, okay, hourly rate 75 quid, 150 quid, depending if you get like C-level, director level stuff. They're like, okay, we'll do you a GTM strategy, we'll do a brand book, we'll do this, we'll do that. They'll just shill you everything under the sun.
Hmm.
If you are not coming from a marketing background, if you're not coming from an accounting background, if you're not coming from a legal background, you are having to take them at their word, which
Yeah.
is why it's really, really important to have advisors. Advisors are gold dust. A good VC should give you an advisor. A lot of them don't. They should be experienced in the field. They shouldn't be some random VC come along giving you a couple mils. Like, okay, cool, we're gonna get a load of money after this. Quick exit for us. We'll cannibalize the studio, sell it off for parts, whatever. We're looking to
Hmm.
sell you directly to a big publisher at the end of this, blah blah blah. They should give you an advisor. The advisor is like the most important person in the entirety of your company because one, they should be doing it for near free because they should believe in your vision and believe in what you're doing because then you are getting unbiased, impartial advice
Hmm.
because they're not doing it for the sake of racking up hours and be like, okay, here, cheers, okay, here's my invoice for this advisory session. They're coming on board to give you advice to help you grow not only as a studio but as a person, as a founder, as a CEO.
Yeah.
Something that a lot of studios don't understand is obviously how to manage your team as well when you're starting out. Managing a team is crazy.
Hmm.
It's not easy. It is probably one of the most difficult tasks I've had to learn. I'm still pretty crap at it, to
It's
be
one of the
frank with
main
you.
things. So, of the consultancy that I do for new indie studios, that's one of the main things that comes up constantly. They're like, "Oh, we've been working together. We're all friends." I'm like, "Okay, that's cool. How are you dealing with conflict?" They're like, we don't
Who's your
really."
HR rep, right? Like
Yeah.
that is the thing, right? HR doesn't exist amongst friends. And you can love each other to the world and back, right? As co-founders, as CEO, as mates, whatever. Um, when it gets to business nitty gritty talk, you need to
Hmm.
ensure that you can have a transparent, blunt conversation with that person and not rub them up the wrong way for the next 3 weeks. It has to be incredibly in the moment. You can say what you need to say. If you come across abruptly, obviously apologize, etc.,
Hmm. Yeah.
etc. But you need to be able to communicate, and you need to be able to communicate effectively and make decisions effectively. Otherwise, if you cannot do that, and it's going to end up in a big old argument over something, it's a problem. And it's a problem that I've seen already with a couple of our studios that we're attending, is that we've seen studios disband in the last, well, obviously we spoke to them about 6 months ago, but
Hmm.
studios have been disbanding, teams have been moving around, people have been saying yes, no, right, left, center, whatever.
Yeah.
And it's a killer, because at the end of the day, it comes, and that's a founder level problem. That is a CEO, that's a management level problem. And if your team are leaving, if your team aren't happy, that is a you problem. It's not a them problem. It is a you problem. It doesn't matter what's happened. It could have been, oh no, some stupid meme that someone sent someone in a Discord or whatever. It's like trying to herd cats, but it's really, really important to remember that at the end of the day, everyone's working towards the same goal. Everyone's on the same team, and like it's what is it? Like I've never worked in an office myself personally. I've always been like home or like self-employed, etc., etc.
Yeah.
But in terms of like the office politics, right? You have to play it really carefully, and you have to ensure that everyone's happy. And at the end of the day, just remind them of why we're all here, especially if you're all friends. Like you're all here to build a game, right? We had an amazing time in uni together. We built this ridiculous demo and this ridiculous alpha, and we released it, and it flopped, but we don't care because we're passionate. And I think it's really important that you rely on those connections and go into business with the right people, not just for dollar signs, but go into business with people that have alignment and mission. Go into business with people that love the creative style of your work, that you love, that you would play their games as well. And I think that's where it comes on board with the collaboration that we only see at an indie level as well.
Hmm.
Um, like everyone for what? Sorry guys, I'm sniffly. Everyone was begging for the Xbox Helldivers collaboration,
Hmm.
begging for it last year. Bit late, guys. It's just come around now. I know it takes a lot to get the cogs turning, but you missed the train on that one.
Hmm.
At least that's my personal opinion on it. Because sure, the Xbox players, because I remember it was all this content being curated around online about Master Chief dropping into God, it was something Malevolence Creek. I remember fighting automatons on that for a long time, and like it was a case of like we want the reinforcements. Please give us the reinforcements, and they dropped it, and it was like the marketing campaign just kind of fell on its face. It did nothing because they just took too long to implement it. And that's where it comes back into efficiency of communication, and it comes
Hmm.
back into efficiency of decision making. And you have to curate that from the ground up for the entirety of your life cycle as a studio. If you don't start it now, when you get to the 5 year point, the 10 year point, if you get there, right, you're going to have the same problems that you didn't address right when you
I think
started.
I think you and me are going to do this talk on the next GLX. We'll get we'll get we'll get on stage and we'll really hammer it down.
We've got to get it across, man. We've got to get it across 400%.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I'm super excited to see what we can cook up. I know we're probably running out. Yeah. Oh my god, mate, where's the last 58 minutes and 20 seconds gone?
It goes.
That's
But yeah, I
nuts.
mean, yeah. So obviously we might as well chat about the events that are coming up.
Yeah.
Um, over at GDL, me and Monty are working on Arcadia, Arcadia Rebirth to be exact. It's a Halloween indie game showcase, so expect not just cool games, but also some spooky styled, spooky themed games. It's an absolutely insane event. It's an insane concept because because we decided to take over a nightclub, a 3-floor, 4-room nightclub. We're transforming the big main dance room into the indie game showcase. We're keeping the smaller dance room so that there's still that vibe is still there. Um, but you absolutely don't have to even go down there. You can just spend your time playing games. We also they have a really bougie kind of speakeasy lounge um, that we have arranged for there to be a live action murder mystery with actors that you can speak to who are playing the suspects. So you can solve a murder mystery while you sip cocktails and just chill out and have a good time. And then if you're bougie, there's a VIP lounge upstairs that has its own bowling alley, so you can really just
I just had a mad brainwave while you were saying that.
yeah,
For the murder mystery, why don't we make it game characters
it is
from
game
different game?
characters.
It is
It's
game
it's
characters,
just it's
really.
just not
Because I
it's
saw
not
you were
well
the one that
known.
got murdered, right? You're like
Yeah,
it was
it's
like
who
Professor
killed Stuart DeVille.
Professor Stuart Deville. But who are the characters we've got on that murder mystery now then?
So basically, it's the I don't want to give too much away, but
Oh,
basically
okay.
I guess it's the top level stuff is that I get murdered. I'm a game developer, and there are characters that I had made. Some of them didn't quite make it to full release, and so they're lurking around, and maybe one of them has a grudge to pick with me because I didn't give them center stage in our latest release. That's the kind of vibe that we've gone with. I originally I looked at like different ways that we could do it, um, and I didn't want to get sued by anyone, so we've we've steered clear of any big names. But maybe this is the first one, so we'll see how it goes.
There's
And
a beautiful thing called creative license, Stu. Beautiful thing. But yeah, I
yeah,
understand the pain there. Um, this sounds like a kind of like Black Mirror slash Wreck It Ralph kind of thing. It's really odd. It's really,
yeah,
really cool. I'm
yeah,
I'm super excited to see what they do. We've got bowling alley there as well, haven't we? In the
yeah.
VIP
In
section.
the VIP lounge, yeah. So I'm definitely going to go knock down some pins if I get time. Obviously, when you're hosting an event, there's
Yeah,
rarely
yeah. I'm
downtime.
looking. I'm looking forward to not being able to do anything for the entire event and running around like a headless chicken.
So then, obviously, we also have To the Moon Expo in November. I'll let you take the lead on that one as it's your baby.
100%. So that's obviously if you're watching this podcast, you probably know who we are and what To the Moon is. If you don't, it's essentially a new gaming event in the UK. We're up at the NEC in Birmingham, so we're 15,000 capacity. We're aiming for 7.5k. It's an inaugural event, guys. I know. So we're trying to be realistic on our expectations
You
there,
never know
but
what might happen.
Gamescom launched to 209,000 people, but different market, different country,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
But it's a case of what we're trying to curate there is a supportive ecosystem for the gaming community, but on a large scale. We're here to try and promote international development. We're here trying to set the UK as a landmark again for gaming, and support our amazing talent in this country, because there are programs out there, there are grants out there, but they barely touch the sides. And what we
hmm
want to be able to do is introduce people to the publishers, introduce people to the other studios here, so people can come together and collaborate together. Obviously, there's lots of really cool stuff there with esports happening, licensed by Riot for League of Legends. We've got some awesome content creators coming down. We've actually got our qualifiers. I'll send you some of the links. We've had our qualifiers for the last couple of days. Got my full office is set up as a production right now.
Yeah, I've
Production
seen your
office.
setup. It's insane.
Mate, this
It's the only
TV.
way that you can do that volume of work.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
multiple monitors and copious amounts of nicotine. But yeah, and so To the Moon, right? That's what we are. We are a gaming event at our heart. We're here to support the creative industry. We're here to let people meet their fans, let people meet their voice actors without having to sell a kidney to do so, right?
hmm
And listen to amazing back end talks. All of our students that attend get access to that B2B area. There's awesome back end talks there from like Glenn Schofield, who's created Dead Space, and loads of really, really cool people coming down to support our mission. And then we even have some of the voice actors from Arcane and Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 doing talks on their transition from theatre and film into animation or mocap, etc., etc.,
Nice.
trying to inspire the next generation of indie devs and the next generation of game devs, because at the end of the day, we're younger guys. We got the time. We're going to be here a lot longer, and what will happen is all the C-suites are going to go retire, and then we're going to need a new wave of talent, and that's what we're trying to curate now. And then that new wave of talent comes into the space with a separate mindset that isn't dollar signs, but it is creativity. And I think creativity is so important in what we do, and I don't want to say it's been lost, but it's definitely been stifled at some of the
Stifled is yeah.
larger studios, and that's why you see games such as Expedition 33 coming out, which at the end of the day, it wasn't a 30-person team, 30-person core team, but co-dev, right? It's what we were talking about
hmm
earlier on, co-dev,
Yeah.
co-dev, co-dev. And they came along and made a great game, and look at what they did with it, like banging, smashed it out of the park. But yeah, so that's To the Moon, guys. That's obviously 12th, 13th, up at the NEC in Birmingham. Tickets up now. Tickets are up for Arcadia now as well. They are
Mhm.
selling pretty fast. Please buy them early, because I don't want people messaging me being like, I forgot my ticket, can I have a free one? Because I'm not doing those messages for this event, because that's all we had for the Develop Brighton event was, oh, I forgot to register. And I'm like, okay, cool. Bad luck. Sorry.
Yeah.
I was gonna know where we're at for this. But yeah, the Arcadia event, I'm really looking forward to it, because the venue is awesome. It's like
It's
some
gorgeous.
it's like some Greek mythology.
Well,
Celine.
now they're the Celine Club in London. They're also
Yeah.
now decking it out Halloween themed for us,
Yeah, it's
which
like
is
Asylum-esque, I think it is. It's like very
yeah,
crazy madhouse. What kind of works for game devs, right? We're all a bit mental at the end of the day if we're working in this industry.
yeah.
Um,
The industry has put us there. Like if you want to feel at home, if you want to come to an event and feel like, oh yeah, an insane asylum, this is exactly where I belong, then this is the event for you for sure.
Damn right, man. Well, look, I guess the last thing I'll say is please keep an eye on the podcast, guys. They're going to be coming out every single week.
We drop weekly. Yep,
Weekly
yep,
or
yep, yep.
weekly. I'm still catching up. I've only been a director for a week, guys. Please bear with 2 weeks. Please bear with me as I catch myself up. We're all fine. We've got weekly podcasts. We've got Arcadia. Tickets live now on GDL's website.
Mm-hmm.
We've also got obviously To the Moon. It's live on www.tothemoonexpo.io because we're not .com because we try to be unique.
Cut through the noise. Don't be
That's
another
it, man.
.com.
Don't be
Yeah, yeah.
another .com. Be a .io. Or I didn't want to do .gg. It's a bit lame. Everyone's .gg. Like,
Yeah, I like. Yeah, in some cases I like it, but in other cases, also it's a cultural moment. Like people are saying GG right now. What do you do in like 2, 3 years when people stop saying GG
I
and
play
everyone's
League of
like, why
Legends. The
is
only
it
thing I type is
.gg?
bad game. Or type is GG. That's all I type. It's League of
Bad
Legends.
game.
But yeah, so all of our tickets are live on the website, guys. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to any of us. We are chronically online. I'm pretty much stuck to this chair at this point now.
Same. Yeah. I
And
I live here. I mean, I
yeah,
literally live here. It's my house.
I know so, man.
Yeah.
And yeah, we'll be. I think I might be rocking around with some content myself, coming back to Twitch every now and then now as well.
Oh, nice,
Which is
nice.
good fun. I take a dip in the League of Legends casting and see how badly I do, and if I do badly, then I won't do it again. If I do
Just
well,
come
then
join me
we'll.
on TikTok. It's a lot friendlier over there on
Man,
TikTok.
I spent way too long of my life on TikTok during pandemic. It's what kick-started my streaming career and the whole esports thing, man. One stupid lip sync video to a pop punk song and my life was changed. Um, God, that was cringe. I get it come off of my TikTok. Like, this day you posted this. I look at it and like, wow, you are a melt. What were you doing?
I mean,
Was...
that's just what happens over time. You know, you're gonna look back. What feels cool today will not be cool in a year's time.
I'm still waiting for that haircut to come back, Stu. I want
Which
that
one?
haircut. The photo you sent for the speaker announcement with the
Oh,
amazing
my long
locks.
locks. I
Um,
don't think I'm. It's a commitment. It's like a 3 year commitment to grow that hair back. We'll
yeah,
see. We'll
to be
see.
honest, we'll see. Well, let's do.
I'm already committed to this mustache for Halloween. You'll. I think you might have seen how crazy this mustache gets. It's going to be the full curly works for
I think
Halloween.
do you know what? I might be able to join you on that. We were rocking around like two mustache people for the entire event. I love that.
Let's do it.
Actually, to be honest, it was November when I graduated 2019, right? Like just before 2020, and I did November, and by God, are those graduation photos hidden because I had a very interesting mustache at that point, and it was yeah, a bit of a late bloomer in terms of the facial hair, unfortunately.
My mustache is out of control. Literally, like within 4 weeks, I've got the curly thing going. So we'll see. We'll see how just how long and curly it gets for Arcadia. If you want to see that, people,
Buy a ticket.
go
Buy a
buy a
ticket
ticket. Buy a ticket.
to see his
So yeah,
mustache.
this has been the Game Dev Local podcast. Obviously, it's really great if you do all the usual like, follow, share, smash that follow button or whatever it is you're supposed to say. But
Like,
mostly, yeah, no, we say things like that apparently. Um,
I'm back in 2010 on YouTube. What's going
smash
on?
that button, guys. But yeah, if you want to learn more about Game Dev Local, go to gamedevlocal.com. We're a .com, sorry. Sorry, not sorry.
Unacceptable.
And yeah, you can join our Discord directly from there. We have a 4,500 plus Discord community of developers, all doing that knowledge share that we're talking about. And yeah, until then, have a good rest of your day, rest of your life. See you later,
Bye. Have a
guys.
wonderful time.